Good evening, YouTube. My name is Dan, and I'm the coach of your St. Louis Rampardos. After a nice Week 8 victory over the South Beach Slow Kings, the St. Louis Rampardos look to take on the Toronto Togekiss, and the Hacks got himself the heated Mo in a Week 9 showdown. Now, Mo is 3-5 and has shown his ability to come out with some W's, but has struggled a little bit this season. Regardless of that, we're going to do our best to prepare. Now that we are the top slot in the UCL, tied with the King Nappy, it is a nice place to be, but we need to continue to come out each and every week and put out our best performance and come out with a W. So let's talk a little bit about Mo's team right away. He's got some very interesting Pokemon. Mo is known as the Hacks God in the community, taking advantage of paralysis and flinching and so on and so forth in his Hacks for All series. And also he has done a little bit of that so far in the UCL and has drafted his team to kind of represent his style. He's got a Jirachi and a Togekiss, not to mention Clefable as well, so two of the best fairy types in the game. He's got two big fire type heavy hitters in Chandelure and Darmanitan. One hits from the special side, one hits from the physical side. He also has his Mega Swampert. However, he does not have really a whole lot of rain support to go along with it. Some other notable mentions, you have Hitmonlee, which can always be a problem if it has the Fake Out, Normal Gem Unburden boost. He's also got Chinchino and Spiritomb, Scyther, Kabutops, and Archeops to round out his lineup. So some of the bigger threats I see here are obviously the two fairies. Those are always a problem. I think Darmanitan or Chandelure, one or the other. I don't anticipate him to bring both. I think Swampert can be a big problem as well, of course, especially if he's able to set up the rain. He doesn't have a rain team, so he has to manually do the rain, and with Swampert, it's only going to be 5 turns. So we'll see how things play out, but I believe I prepared the best team for this matchup, and I did have a little bit of help. So shout outs to Joey, PokeMMD, for a little bit of assistance here on the first Pokemon I'll be announcing, and then shout outs to the regular crew who does the team building with me, including TNA TV, Pokemon, Miguel, Mega Mogwai, of course, Super Blah, you got Fufu, and just a few others to name the squad that helps with the team building. I do build my teams, but I do have assistance from other people, usually after I get my drafts done of my team. So anyway, let's jump right into it. The first Pokemon this week, which actually was built entirely by Joey Pokemon himself, it is Mega Metagross, our Z-Drive, which now does lead the UCL in kills, having 15 kills so far throughout this season. Now Z-Drive is going to be rocking a very unique set this week, carrying a Lonely Nature with just enough speed to outspeed a max speed Darmanitan, assuming he's not Choice Scarf. I also have the Meteor Mash, the Grass Knot, the Earthquake, and the Bullet Punch. Now I'm carrying a little bit of special attack EVs, actually more special attack than I am physical attack, but this Metagross is actually hits harder than a standard Jolly Metagross. It's also faster than the Darmanitan, and I can OHKO a max HP Mega Swampert with Grass Knot no matter what. So we have this as an opportunity. We're 100% OHKO on that Mega Swampert, and we prepared for that. We do not lose any offensive power because we took a little bit of our speed, and obviously we're using a negative defense nature to get that attack boost with the Lonely Nature. I look for this Metagross to put a lot of work. Meteor Mash destroys both Togekiss and Clefable. He does not have a good switch into Meteor Mash except for Mega Swampert, which does die to the Grass Knot. His other Pokemon like Darmanitan, if I'm able to get Stealth Rocks up, or Chandelure, Stealth Rocks will destroy them. And I also have the Bullet Punch for things like Archeops and also to finish off some of his threats later on in the game. Assuming he doesn't carry any surprise berries or anything like that, Metagross should be able to rip through Mo's team, as he doesn't have any very good dedicated counters to Mega Metagross. He's going to have to really put a lot of effort into making sure he can take it on. The next Pokemon I'm going to be bringing is one of the most important Pokemon this week, and it is our Vaporeon. Oxygen has held its own this season and done a great job stopping opponents' offensive threats while still managing a little bit of offensive pressure itself, carrying Scald and stuff. This week we're running a very unique set actually created by Super Blah, and this Vaporeon allows us to check both Darmanitan and Chandelure if it's Specs. So Specs Chandelure is not going to be able to 2-hit KO us with Energy Ball. We obviously can take the Fire and the Ghost type attacks, and of course we have the ability to take on Flare Blitz and anything else in the Darmanitan. We are carrying the Protect. We have the Wish as well. Scald, as he has nothing on his team that really wants to take a Scald, especially not with the Burn included. And we have a Heal Bell just in case he starts to spread paralysis around on my team. Z-Drive gets caught up with a Para, and I have to get that off of him or something like that. So I really think this Vaporeon set, it's the first time I'm bringing kind of a specially defensive Vaporeon, but that allows me to check the Chandelure a bit better, whereas the Darmanitan, I think I could kind of play around as well. The next Pokemon we're going to be bringing bringing is our Sabertooth, the Raikou. Now, Raikou has kind of not really done a whole lot this season so far, aside from just being a very big threat from a presence standpoint, from an actual performance standpoint, hasn't done a whole lot. But this week we're bringing that Choice Specs Raikou right back here. We're bringing the modest Choice Specs Raikou, so we are going to be hitting as hard as humanly possible. We have a little bit of speed in there to make sure we can outspeed things like Archeops and Scyther. We are able to outspeed that base 110. However, we will be outsped by Chinchino, so I'm not as worried about Chinchino, so that's why I'm going to be just outspeeding the base 110s. A little bit of HP in there. Of course, Volt Switch, HP Grass for the Swampert in case he wants to switch that in, Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball. If he does not bring Swampert, he is in a lot of trouble because this thing will be Volt Switching and Thunderbolting his entire team, and there's nothing wants on his team to take a Thunderbolt or a Volt Switch from this thing. Choice Spec Modest Raikou is going to do a lot of work. Now, the fourth Pokemon on our team has been performing exceptionally well the last few weeks and definitely deserved another start. That is going to be our Crobat. Now, Crobat, aka Edward, is rocking the Rocky Helmet with Jolly Nature to make sure I can outspeed things like that Chinchino. I have a little bit of HP and a little bit of defensive investment, which allows me to take hits from things like Jirachi a little bit better. I'm carrying the U-Turn and the Taunt as well, Brave Bird and Roost. Now, Brave Bird is for things like Scyther, and we have U-Turn for Momentum, things like that. The Taunt is there mostly for Spiritomb, as if he does have a Calm Mind, Rest Talking Spiritomb, that could be a bit of an issue, but I do anticipate this Crobat to do quite a bit of work, and I'm able to taunt a couple things. U-Turn will also provide us momentum. As you saw, a lot of the Pokemon, we have Volt Switch and U-Turn. That's one of my common themes, Baton Pass. I like to use these priority switching moves to give myself the advantage, so I really think this Crobat set is going to be incredibly useful, and I think it has a lot of potential to do a lot of work, just from a pivot perspective alone. The Rocky Helmet is there for a little bit of chip damage on things like Darmanitan if I need it, to get a little bit closer to that Bullet Punch Oko, or wear it down with the Stealth Rocks and so on and so forth. The next Pokemon, which started off the season destroying our opponents, but hasn't done much as of late, but hopefully this week it could put in some work. We're bringing the Hail Miguel, which is our nice Hydreigon. Now, Hydreigon is rocking a Choice Scarf again with just enough outspeed, things like Darmanitan. So we do outspeed Choice Scarf Darmanitan with this thing. We're carrying the U-Turn and the Dark Pulse, Earth Power, and Flash Cannon, of course. No need for a Dragon move, especially with him having a Steel and 2 Fairies. I don't see the point of it, but we can Dark Pulse things like that. That Spiritomb if we have to. Obviously, the Jirachi is not going to appreciate Dark Pulses. We have Earth Power for things like Chandelure and Darmanitan. Of course, we have the Flash Cannon as well for those Fairy types, so I'm really thinking that this Hydreigon can put in some work and also provide more momentum. Gives me my fastest Pokemon on the team, and it should outspeed everything on his team, unless he runs Scarfrachi. That would be the only thing that could outspeed it, but personally, Scarfrachi is less of a threat in my opinion than something like a Bandit or something like that Rachi. So we'll have to see what he's going to bring. The T-Waving Rachi actually would probably be the biggest issue for me, but that's why I'm bringing my last Pokemon here, which has put in quite a bit of work. It's actually taken down some pretty big threats so far in the UCL, including things like Mega Manectric. It is going to be our Cyborg, of course, Golurk. Now, Golurk is going to be our Stealth Rock setter this week, also carrying Earthquake, Heavy Slam, and Dynamic Punch with the No Guard. Now, Heavy Slam actually does about 80%, 90% to both Togekiss and Clefable, because Golurk weighs over 700 pounds, whereas both of those weigh under 100 pounds. We're doing like 100, 120 base power off of these guys. Is going to be doing a ton of damage to these Pokemon, and I'm also carrying the Focus Sash there just to ensure that if he does bring something like Specs Rachi with Grass Knot or Banded Rachi with Ice Punch, I'm able to live on that first turn, be able to get my rocks up, or an Earthquake. And also having a Ghost type is nice because you're able to take things, if he has like normal Gem boosted Hitmonlee, I'm able to take things like that. It gives me another Hitmonlee answer, and also that ground typing with those Earthquakes and stuff like that, and having the resistance to Thunder Wave, of course. So I do look for Cyborg to get those rocks up and give us some early pressure that otherwise we wouldn't have. So I debated quite a bit with this team building here, and I think ultimately we came down to the best 6 that I could bring, and I'm very, very excited for this match. I think the Heated Mo has a very good chance to show his battling skills this match. I'm definitely not taking it for granted. This is probably one of the most important matches of the season. I feel like every week is more important as we approach playoffs. We're sitting in a nice 7-1 position, but it is very, very important for us to come up with this win, as we have some of our more challenging, and I mean this in no disrespect, but we have some of our toughest opponents coming up in the next few weeks, including Joey next week. I believe Leo right after that. We have Kristen as well, not to mention, and then we have Nappy in the last game of the season, PK still. So and I think Twit is the last team that we have to play. So we still have a lot of teams that have shown their ability to play well. So we are really going to have to step it up and make sure that we continue to play as well as we have and pick up a W every single week. So that is going to be the team that we're rocking this week. If you are enjoying the St. Louis Rampardos head smash their ways to victory, I need you guys to show your love on that like button down below. I hope you guys are excited for the match on Saturday. My name is Dan. I'm the coach of your St. Louis Rampardos, and I'm going to get the heck out of here. Peace.